grab a seat, sip some wisdom, and stay a while. This is the Prosperity Lounge, where growth gets personal.
Good evening, everyone. What does it mean
for a community to come together, not just to support small businesses, but to also rally behind causes that touch nearly every family, like Alzheimer's? Welcome to the Prosperity Lounge, where hope meets freedom and growth gets personal. I'm your host, Joey Ruffalo, best-selling author, coach, and business growth strategist. Inside the lounge, we talk about money, mindset, business, and wellness, because prosperity is just so much more than your bank account. It's about freedom in every area of your life. Today, I'm joined by some incredible guests who live out that mission every day. We have Julie Blaylock, President and CEO of the Farragut West Knox Chamber of Commerce; Sara Dickson from the Alzheimer's Association Tennessee chapter; and Janice Wade from Alzheimer's Tennessee. And here's why this conversation matters, especially right now. I was reading there's more than 7.2 million Americans over the age of 65 living with Alzheimer's disease. That's 1 in 9 older adults. And here in Tennessee, about 129,000 families are facing the reality. Tonight, we'll talk about how the chamber supports small business and how they give back, how these two organizations provide care and hope, and how the upcoming Charity Gala Auction on October 2nd will bring all of this together. So let's pull up a chair. The lounge is open. Ladies, welcome to the Prosperity Lounge.
Thank you.
Awesome. So we got everybody here. We got Julie and the camera. We got Janice and Sara here. First off, thank you all for joining me tonight. Appreciate it. I know we're kind of funky in the studio here where you guys are a little bit behind me to fit on camera. I'm in front. I'm looking this way. You guys are looking that way and trying to be professional. But, thank you. I was really looking forward to learning more about not only the chamber. I am a chamber member, but I feel like I know enough, but not a lot. So I need to be educated from Julie and its role in the community, but also learn about Alzheimer's in general. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation. I did want to start off with Julie first to talk about the chamber in general and its purpose and what it means for small businesses. So, for the listeners who might not be familiar, Julie, can you start by sharing the mission, especially the mission of the Farragut West Knox Chamber, and how it supports small businesses?
Absolutely. We launched as a chamber in 1987. So we are slowly coming up on our 40-year birthday, which is really exciting. Our mission is really simple. We are in business for business. And we are here to support growth, we are here to support education, and we are here to support member success and provide all of the benefits that will make those things possible for businesses all across Knox County.
Nice. I love that. So what year did you say again? 1986?
1987.
1987.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know the town of Farragut was founded in 1980.
Correct.
1987. So tell me about, if you know, the founding of the Farragut Chamber, that this was one of those, we're going to split from Knoxville as well, or how did that work out?
Well, I wasn't here in 1987, but what I know historically is, as you said, the town was founded in 1980, and Knox County looked vastly different than it does now. It looked vastly different back then. What I know happened was that the town of Farragut and businesses that were in the area decided that because doing business in Farragut was a little bit different, they had some different expectations, some different desires for how business should look in 1987, that they needed their own chamber of commerce. And that's really how chambers of commerce pop up, and why you'll see multiple chambers within the same county in certain areas of the country.
Okay. So how the alignment of their purpose shifted a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we see that now pretty clear with the downtown Knoxville Chamber and the Farragut West Knox Chamber as far as the types of businesses I see being supported and the events that get put on and the things that they're trying to accomplish as far as, I would say, wooing business to their separate communities. Downtown Knoxville tends to be a little bit bigger, trying to get bigger businesses in.
Yep.
Well, there's no room for big business in Farragut West Knox.
Not really.
So
not really. We don't have any manufacturing zoning in Farragut.
Right. That's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Now, I want to clear up something before we dive deeper here. Something I hear often, something I was confused about a little bit as well. People hear the words Chamber of Commerce and immediately think U.S. Chamber of Commerce in Washington, D.C. But local chambers like Farragut, West Knox, they serve a very different role. Can you explain how maybe the chamber's mission is different from like a national chamber from that, and why the distinction matters for the community?
I can. I'll start with a similarity. The similarity of any chamber of commerce, it doesn't matter where you go, whether it's nationally, state, or local. Their one job is to serve their members first, because their members are who are investing in them to collaborate together and build a community. So that stays the same. And chambers of commerce will offer different benefits to their members depending on what those members say they want. That's generally where the similarity ends, and it starts to get really fine-tuned to what the community the chamber is located in needs in order to grow and be prosperous. So you mentioned our friend the Knoxville Chamber. They are much older than we are. They are over 150 years old. Let's start there. Yes,
wow.
No kidding.
Okay.
And one thing that they're charged with, which we are not, though we get county support in the form of funding, they hold the economic development arm for the county. And they get that funding to do that work, to bring the Amazons and the manufacturing and the big companies and the high-tech jobs here. There doesn't need to be two entities in the same county doing that kind of work. So I think that that's part of why their vision and their mission is at a much more regional level than ours needs to be. What that does for us is that leaves a really nice space for us to engage in regional issues where it's appropriate, and to even do a little bit of advocacy where we need to, but to just serve the local businesses that are in our community.
Okay, so it's more of you have the opportunity then to be more centralized and focused, really small scale, niche down almost in a sense. We do. We get to be a little more niche. You know, if you look at the breakdown of our membership, and I don't know how that compares to their chamber or other chambers, upwards of 20% of our members are one employee. They are solopreneurs, just like yourself, in fact. Wow.
And that's a lot.
Yeah.
Most of the businesses that are members, upwards of 80%, have less than 15 full-time employees. So for reference, that's not even small business, that's micro business by U.S. standards. And what those businesses need is vastly different than what a business that has 100 or 500 employees needs. Okay.
So being able to serve, so the Farragut Chamber is able to serve essentially anybody who has that size. If a business was able to move into our locale that served that, we could serve that.
Yeah.
But because of where we're located, we're kind of unique in a sense, and a lot of small towns would be the same way, small chambers across the country, being able to service not just the people who are 500 members, but that solo person.
Yeah.
Yeah, and give the same resources and benefits and everything else to them.
Yeah, we can. We're in this really unique kind of unicorn spot, I like to call it, where, you know, our chamber is based in the town of Farragut, which, as you know, is growing leaps and bounds as Knox County grows. But we're considered to be in the bigger Knoxville metro area. So we have a lot of small businesses that are having to compete in a metro that is commercially getting more and more dense. And that's a challenge. But Knoxville in and of itself, people still say it's a small town. You know, it's wearing a big city suit, but it's definitely still a small town. And so how you walk that line with building that small town community within the chamber, but still helping your businesses grow and stay competitive is where we try to excel.
I think there was a tagline I remember from a few years ago. It was a small city small city feel, or small city community, big city feel, or something like that. They were trying to use for the Knoxville area, and I was like, okay, yeah, we have a Best Buy, yay.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, and we're getting closer and closer to that big city feel.
Yeah.
You know, as downtown's developed, as Farragut has developed, as surrounding counties are developing, that big city feel is on the way if it's not already here. Yeah.
Now, what kind of support or what kind of advocacy does the chamber do? I know from a national level, I was reading into it. That's more of a lobbying aspect for laws and stuff like that. On a local level, is there do you guys have that opportunity to do that as well? Is there an advocacy part of the chamber with local government to kind of foster that business environment, get zoning changes or things like that if people want to come? Is there?
Yeah, there is. For us, it doesn't look as aggressive as it does, say, at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce level, you know, which is highly political and takes a lot of really strong positions, you know, left or right. For us, you know, we participate in our regional legislative agenda, which is currently 5 chambers of commerce. It's us, Knoxville, Blunt Partnership, Anderson County, and Oak Ridge Chamber of Commerce. And so we all get together and collaborate on a wish list, if you will, that goes to our local and state legislators of things that we would like to see them focus on at the legislative level and work on to benefit small businesses, other businesses, and also the community in general. It's got an education section. It's got a health section. So we participate heavily in that. And we pull in small business members to sit on the committee that helps us come up with what should go on that wish list. And then, of course, you know, we try to bring forward local elected officials, wannabe candidates, because we really think it's important for those people to have one-on-one conversations with the community.
Sure.
You know, so we try to foster as many opportunities for people to get FaceTime with each other in that capacity.
Why is it important for a chamber to go beyond that business networking and actively give back to community?
For me, I think it's everything. You know, you don't have businesses without a community to support them. You don't have a chamber without those businesses and that community. For us, we have a lot of members who are nonprofits, like the ones you're going to introduce. They're becoming part of the chamber for the same reasons that a small business is. They want access to other people, to potential donors, volunteers, what have you. And then on the flip side, you have a lot of businesses, especially when they're small, that have a big heart. And they want to give back as they start to become profitable. They just don't know how to do it. And a lot of small businesses will look at the wonderful gestures of larger companies and say, that's great that company gave that nonprofit a $10,000 check.
What can I do?
What good is my money? So what we like to do is we like to give a lot of different opportunities for businesses to walk alongside of us in various drives and events and show them that you can engage with your community and nonprofits. You can give back. Here's different ways that you can do it. Let us show you. And a lot of times, which is my favorite part, is when we partner with a nonprofit and we do a drive for items or we do a fundraiser or something like that. Businesses will often hook up with that nonprofit later, and then I get to get on social media and see that a year down the road, 2 years down the road, they are giving them that check. So for me, that's worth it.
It's like a seed that has been planted, and now you're watching the growth.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So 1987, Chamber's founded. Tell us about the big gala and auction. Was that also started in 1987 to foster community support and to nonprofits, or is that something that evolved over time?
It's definitely evolved over time. Based on the historical records, it is our longest standing annual fundraiser, and I think the first one happened in 1988.
Okay, so
it's
right away.
It's almost as old as the chamber is.
Chamber gets started, they take a year to figure stuff out, and they go, we're going to do something big.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that, to the best of my knowledge, that's how it started. And it started small. It was always an auction and a dinner. And over years, it has grown. And it has added pieces and it has taken away pieces in order to become profitable for the chamber, because it is a fundraiser for us, so we can continue to fund our grants where we give back to businesses. We can continue to keep costs of entry low for small businesses when they don't have a lot of marketing budget. But then the big thing that makes me really proud personally is the fact that over the last 3 or 4 years, we have tripled and quadrupled the give back to the nonprofit we partner with for that event.
Nice.
Yeah.
Having business leaders rally around causes like Alzheimer's through this event, and just the nonprofits in general, and rallying around those communities, what does that mean for you personally?
I think the best example for me is when I'm standing in a room where we're hosting a networking or an event, and there's 40, 50, 60 people there. And I go to talk about our auction, and then I talk about our nonprofit partners, our Alzheimer's nonprofits. And I say, raise your hand if you have been touched yourself or through your family by dementia or Alzheimer's. Every single hand goes up, mine included. And that, to me, is the quintessential example of how we share so much more in common than our differences. And if that's something that we can all rally around, I'm for that.
I love that. So what I want to do now is I want to bring in the ladies from the different groups. So if you want to pass the mic down, Julie, I think I'm going to not have questions for you for a bit. So they can each have their own mic. Yay, that worked. So before I dive in, I want to share a few numbers that I found online that really set up the stage here. And you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I pulled these off the different organization sites. But right now, there's more than 7.2 million Americans over the age of 65 living with Alzheimer's. It's about 1 in 9 older adults. And here in Tennessee, there's around 129,000 people facing the disease. What I found even more alarming, and I'd love to talk about this a little bit as well, is that 21% of people age 45 and older have subjective cognitive decline. Now, that's right in my age bracket, so I'm just a little concerned about that. Again, before I want to paint a picture of what this looks like impact-wise nationwide. Alzheimer's and other dementia have projected cost of about $384 billion in care this year, plus another about $415 billion in unpaid caregiving provided by families. So it's nearly $1 trillion when you combine it. And here in Tennessee, the numbers are staggering. More than 386,000 Tennesseans are serving as unpaid caregivers, providing over 675 million hours of care, valued at about $13 billion every year. That's if you average $19.25 an hour. So families are carrying this load not just emotionally but financially. So I want to ask a question to Sara first here. This is Sara Dickson from Alzheimer's Association Tennessee chapter.
Yes,
I got that
correct.
right. Perfect. For those that, and there's going to be some questions that you can jump into, Janice, on. There might be some overlap in what we're talking about. But for those who may not fully understand, what is Alzheimer's disease and how does it impact families here in Tennessee?
Well, so Alzheimer's disease is obviously the most common form of dementia. Alzheimer's is under this umbrella of dementia, so it's one of the more common ones diagnosed. There are several forms of dementia, but most often that's the diagnosis that we see. I don't know if Janice.
Yes, and then that's pretty much the main ones you hear of when people talk about stuff. It's like Alzheimer's
Right.
dementia. You mentioned there's several others. Or what are some other ones that might be out there that people might think of?
Like vascular dementia,
Okay.
Lewy bodies. Maybe Janice wanted to chime in on a
Sure,
few
sure.
of those.
If you know so.
We see frontal temporal
Frontal
dementia.
yeah.
We see
Okay.
a Parkinson's that can evolve and have a dementia component to it. So it's a big umbrella. But obviously, Alzheimer's is most prevalent. But a lot of times, those dementias also can coexist, vascular and Alzheimer's. And vascular issues can put you at risk for developing Alzheimer's. So they're unique and different, but express the disease in different ways.
Now, when you hear numbers like 7.2 million nationwide, 129,000 here in the state, what do they mean to you in terms of need of awareness and action?
Well, for us and at the association, the biggest part of that is just making sure that people understand what's going on in the world of Alzheimer's. Understanding the warning signs, obviously, but understanding that we are in an era now of treatment, so it's not like a hopeless diagnosis. Yes, it can be devastating as it continues to go, but there is educating yourself and understanding the warning signs, getting an early diagnosis, even just for the smallest thing that you think that might have, be a trigger for it. And so just getting that early diagnosis, because there are ways right now to go in and get treatments to slow down the progression of the disease, not stop it. So.
No, I should have done a better job in the beginning of introducing the both of you and your different organizations. But can you tell me a little bit more about Alzheimer's Association Tennessee chapter, and then Janice, what Alzheimer's Tennessee does?
Sure. So Alzheimer's Association Tennessee chapter, we are basically a branch of the Alzheimer's Association based out of Chicago. And so we work here in Tennessee. We have a home office in Tennessee, in Nashville, and we work all around the state of Tennessee. And basically here in East Tennessee, we work to, like my markets I serve here, and I serve Northwest Tennessee. So our biggest thing is we're volunteer-led. And so we have volunteers that are community educators, that are advocates, that work year-round to fundraise and raise awareness. And all that said, too, they're a big part of that legislation process where we are looking for more awareness through the political realm of things. But I think also, I forgot to mention, too, Alzheimer's Association is the largest nonprofit funder of research. So that's important for me to kind of say globally. So a lot the funds that we raise here locally for the Alzheimer's Association support obviously local programs and care, but a lot of that does go to global research, because our vision is a world without Alzheimer's, and we want to see that in our lifetime. So we have to continue to fund not only care for the people that are here, but we have to continue to fund that much needed research.
Okay. And Janice, tell me a little bit more about Alzheimer's Tennessee.
Alzheimer's Tennessee. Well, we're based in Tennessee. In fact, we're headquartered in Knoxville, and we have 6 offices throughout the state. And we really build out a local infrastructure of programs and services. So you mentioned 129,000 individuals with that diagnosis. And so we are here for them, and we have lots of programs and services. And beside each one of those individuals, we can count usually 2 or 3 additional individuals that's involved in their care, be it a spouse, an adult child. And so this really impacts the family. So we have built out services for caregivers, for the individuals with diagnosis, because when you get that diagnosis, it takes your breath away. You immediately fast forward, as Sara mentioned, to perhaps people who are in the later stages of it. But now with our treatments, we're able to keep people in earlier stages of the disease with intervention. So we need to support them, educate them, let them see and talk with individuals every week that are living with this disease and are living well with it.
Yeah.
This is can be a very lonely disease, so it's really important we think, to obviously make sure that they know that they're not going through this alone. There's so many others that are they're in that journey too. It's like, when we go to have our big fundraisers, you're reminded of how many people are actually going through this when you're just in a cluster and you see all these people there, are dealing with it. And so I think that's important to realize, because you can kind of isolate yourself, but to make sure that you are, even if you're a caregiver, just to make sure that you are having conversations with other people, finding that support within your church or within the community, reaching out just to a family or friend, having those conversations.
That's very important. What you said about caregivers. My dad had diagnosed with cancer a few years ago, and that situation of being a caregiver, albeit I was 3,000 miles away as a caregiver during COVID, really tough. But that caregiver syndrome and caregiver fatigue really sets in when somebody's given a diagnosis. You don't know where to go. You don't know what resources to turn to. And sometimes people are too proud to ask for help. I got it all. I can take care of it. And then you realize, like, man, I can't take care of it. And I'm exhausted and I just need somebody else, but I don't want to give it to, I don't want somebody else to come and help me.
I'm glad you brought that up, because the Alzheimer's Association, one thing that we do is we are able to cross state lines. So if you have a relative that lives, 2,000 miles away, we have a 1-800 helpline 24/7 with master level clinicians that can help you with real-time situations, answer any questions, connect you with resources wherever your loved one is, so that you can navigate that for them. And so I really think it's important. If anything, I always say just keep that number in your back pocket if you ever need it, because it can be a lifeline.
Okay. So what are some common or biggest misconceptions people still have about Alzheimer's? And that's for either one of you.
I think I was shocked one time when I was at just a local county fair or whatever, and someone goes, "Well, you can't diagnose Alzheimer's until you pass away." I was like, "Actually, no, that." And so I was kind of trying to educate her on some of the changes that have happened, but I was really surprised, and it was a very rural part of just outside of Knoxville, and so I just was very surprised at how little education that they had.
And I would also say that some people still think there's nothing that can be done. There's no use getting a diagnosis. There's no use pursuing that. And it's just the opposite. We have a great window of opportunity to intervene with this disease, particularly in the earlier stages. So it's scary, and sometimes you put off getting a diagnosis, but really that's the way to go.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know I will get corrected. Seeing people in the news who have a celebrity status being diagnosed with dementia or Alzheimer's. I'm thinking of Bruce Willis, for example, full frontal, sort of whatever that part of dementia. As sad and tragic as watching the decline happen in public, essentially. How does that help your awareness to your organizations, to disease in general?
I think it, maybe has a little bit more, it pulls at the heart a little bit more, because we feel connected to that person in a way, because we've watched them over the years. But I think, seeing someone that's so bigger than life, succumb to this, disease it's kind of a reality, kind of like a check. You're not right there with it, but you, oh wow, this happened to him. I mean,
yeah, when you talk about that 1 in 9 people it affects, but it obviously you see it and go, yeah, I know somebody. Yeah. Whether they're a celebrity or not, I know somebody who's been affected by it, and you can see the results of what happens. It's
and
crazy.
I think we're all so thankful when individuals step forward and share their story and their family, because that really amplifies the messaging. And people are like, well, if that person can be diagnosed with a dementia, maybe that's what we're dealing with too. So it really certainly amplifies and encourages people for awareness.
Sure. So Janice, we know that Alzheimer's is, at least I was reading here, the 6th to 7th leading cause of death among older adults. How does Alzheimer's Tennessee step in to support families when they're getting that diagnosis?
Well, we have 3 support groups, virtual support groups a week for individuals who have gotten an early diagnosis or even maybe mid-stage. And so there is nothing more reassuring than to see and talk with an individual who has a diagnosis if you've recently been diagnosed. You can read about it, but man, when you connect with someone who's walking in your shoes with this disease, so that's one of the first things that we do. And then we build a support system around the individual with the diagnosis, and then the care partners 3 times a week have an opportunity to talk with other caregivers. They learn so much. They share so much. It's such a support. And I think it gives people hope we love to have someone saying, I'm Mike, and I was diagnosed 4 years ago. I was diagnosed 5 years ago. Because once again, if we're able to get early diagnosis and the intervention, you can have some certainly quality time with family and friends and just with your life living with this disease.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up caregivers, because my next question was on how the two, there's hundreds of thousands of unpaid hours and hundreds of thousands of caregivers and things like that. Besides the support that you mentioned, the support groups, is there any other support that you offer them, say, in the first few months of diagnosis?
Well, the one-on-one with other caregivers are extremely valuable. Okay. And then we have a series called Caring and Coping in-person series. Our next one is October the 9th, where caregivers can come together. They can hear from experts, be it physicians, social workers, because I think after you get over the initial shock, it's like, what resources do I need, not only now, but in the future? And so just building out the resources. And then we're like, don't forget to also enjoy your life and have fun. So come to the chorus, come to, other things that we have that are social, so you don't let that kind of get lost in people are so much more than just the disease. So don't let the disease define you, but those first few months, you have to get your ground.
Absolutely. Now, I'm going to ask maybe I wrote it down here as maybe like a potentially hostile question. How do each of your organizations complement each other, and how are you guys different? Is there a difference between the both of you guys?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, the biggest difference is that we are a national or part of a national organization, and so we're the largest nonprofit funder of research. So we play a big role in. So all the things that the facts and figures that come out every year, that comes through us. All the research and things, we're a big part of contributing to that, and just in everything, in every aspect of the disease. So all the news, all the research, and all the studies, the healthy brain studies and things like that comes through, research that we raise funds for here locally. So just like I said earlier, so when we raise funds, we are raising funds obviously for this care and support here. And what I think Alzheimer's Tennessee does so well is they provide that more intentional and special care for a family that can really kind of navigate the world.
So it's a great complement between both organizations, where you guys kind of play off each other very well. But so it's important for people to understand when this is going on, and sometimes there's a diagnosis, there's more than one organization to reach out to and get support from. It's not just one or the other. It's multiple. Reach out to both of you guys. Reach out to your local, whatever state you're in. Reach out to the local Alzheimer's Association chapter of that state, and whatever local Alzheimer's chapter there may be, if it's available.
Yeah, absolutely. And just educate yourself and advocate for, if you're a caregiver for your loved one, and find out where you need to go.
Okay.
What to be.
Perfect. And then, what are some ways people in the community can connect with your organizations, and whether they want to help or volunteer? What are some options they have out there?
Well, we're located in the Bearden area. We're in a purple building across from Buddy's Barbecue. So
purple.
We
I don't know if everybody
have
notices everybody wearing purple tonight. I'm
yeah,
celebrating radio.
Our
We're
signature
purple.
color. And so we could not do what we do without wonderful volunteers. So we need volunteers. We really achieve our mission best when we utilize volunteers, be it helping in the office with fundraisers. I've got on a voice shirt because we do legislative activities as well. So we need the involvement. I know both organizations have walks. We have a walk coming up November the 8th at Pigeon Forge High School. Our spring walk is in April. So, don't let this opportunity go by. If you're not sure how you can get involved, call us. There's wonderful opportunities, I think, with both organizations to step in.
Very much, because it's just me and my program manager here, and so there's only two of us, and so we are very much volunteer led in everything that we do, and I love volunteers. They are the reason I get up and go to work every day for the most part, because they bring so much joy and so much perspective into my world, and I want to make sure that their experience as a volunteer is one of, that wonderful experience. And so I just want them to, if they ever are able to talk about the organization, I want them to be able to say good things and to be able to talk about what they've learned and the support they've had. So
Absolutely. And you guys have a walk coming up too?
we do in 2 weeks.
At the zoo, correct?
Yes, 2 weeks.
I know. I'm a member of Rotary, and they've been plugging it away.
Yes, you're a national team sponsor. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love that. So if you're listening and wondering how you can make a difference, it's simple. Mark your calendar for the different walks, but also on Thursday, October 2nd, join the Chamber's Charity Gala Auction. It's going to be a fun night. You see me there. Come say hi. I'm usually dressed up. Last year, I was I wore a cowboy hat last year, and I think I was one of the only ones to wear a cowboy hat, so I really stood out. So you should be able to see me. Every ticket purchased, every auction bid, every sponsorship fuels hope and support for families right here in East Tennessee. And don't forget, you can always visit theprosperitylounge.com for tools, resources, and a place to connect with people on the journey towards financial wellness, business growth, and overall prosperity. So I'm gonna kind of bring everybody into this next set of questions here and talk about the partnership between the chamber and the charity and the auction, how it all comes together, what it means. So we talk about numbers like billions of dollars in unpaid caregiving, thousands of families affected in East Tennessee. It's certainly clear that nonprofits can't carry this alone. This is where partnerships come in. So, Julie, why were these two organizations chosen, Alzheimer's Association of Tennessee and Alzheimer's Association Tennessee chapter?
We're gonna get you to get it right by the time this is
right.
over, Joey.
So I know there's a process every year where you go through it. I'm on the auction committee. You roped me in again. I'm happy to do it, by the way. And we just, you give us a list of chamber things that decide.
Yep, that's what we do.
We look at it and we decide.
That's what we do.
And
so
you guys are lucky this year.
So, backtracking for just a second on a personal note, talking about caregivers and people that need help when you receive a diagnosis of dementia. So, my husband's mother, my mother-in-law, a couple of years ago, after her husband of almost 60 years passed away, we got a crash course in dementia because we, as a family, found out that she had a dementia diagnosis. And her and her husband had been hiding it from all of us children for quite a few many years. And, we found materials that proved that they had been hiding it from us for whatever reason. And in that moment of just utter shock and panic, the first phone calls I made was to Alzheimer's Association Tennessee chapter and Alzheimer's Tennessee. And I don't know how many times I called your 1-800 number hotlines with all kinds of questions. And both of these organizations were so kind, so comforting, and so empathetic. Because really in that moment of a diagnosis, especially so late stage as we found ourselves in, you don't know what to do. You are absolutely floundering. And so I want to thank you both for helping me and my family through that period of time, before she passed away. In terms of the chamber and our process, so we try to be very, very, very objective, and we look at how long nonprofits have been a member. We look at engagement. We look at our own history of who we've partnered with before so that we don't repeat or show favoritism.
Sure.
And what's really funny is we changed our theme for our auction gala this year in terms of color. It was already purple. That was not a crystal ball thing. But when we brought the list of our nonprofits to the committee with our giving history, and we said, okay, here's everybody and here's their missions, and talk about it and make a recommendation that can be sent up to the board, who has to approve that recommendation. The committee zeroed in for a lot of reasons on Alzheimer's Tennessee and Alzheimer's Association Tennessee chapter. And the short version of the conversation was, they're both doing great work. They're both valuable. How do we choose one over the other when both are excellent? And so they asked, can we pick both? And we said, why not? And our board loved the idea, and here we are. It's all about purple this year.
Seems like a logical solution.
Yeah. I mean, and the conversation I remember with the committee was also that same one I talked about when I stand in front of a group of people now. So many people said, my mother has it, my dad had it, my brother had it. So that connection was just really, really apparent, and it just seemed like the obvious choice.
And I think something like the awareness of the Chamber Gala and the auction, and just that awareness of the organizations. Like, I, in full disclosure, was not aware of Alzheimer's Tennessee. I was aware of the Alzheimer's Association, but not Alzheimer's Tennessee. Now I am.
Yep.
And it's amazing to see that's right in our backyard, and you guys are doing some great work. Because, like you said, when you find a diagnosis late stage, like with my dad's situation, it was stage 4. He passed away less than a year after all this diagnosis and surgeries and stuff. Mm-hmm. We didn't have the support or the energy to deal with getting him well. Mm-hmm. It was maintaining until death, essentially, with the hope that he got well. Mm-hmm. And man, you guys come in there and just being able to put your arms around people and walk with them through that process, and have everybody who's been seen it all. It's just so invaluable.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't put a price figure on something like that. It's just,
you can't. I mean, they really are, and I'm blissfully ignorant about who answers your phones and runs your hotlines, but I mean, they really have the ability to be triage in a moment of crisis, and validate the things that you're experiencing, offer suggestions, give you things to watch out for and look for, what to expect, so that your path has a little bit of light on it, more so than it would have if you were going it alone.
Absolutely. That's the worst thing to do, is go it alone.
Yeah.
You think you can do it, but you can't. Whew.
Yeah.
So for Sara and Janice, what does it mean for you and your organizations to have a business community through, let's say, the Chamber, standing behind you and your work, and making it visible in such a way?
Well, for us, I mean, first of all, we appreciate being a member of our area chambers, and we are so appreciative of the business community investing in us. It's a huge component of allowing us to move the mission forward. So we're just really appreciative. So there's the business sector of that, but also we, as mentioned, we don't go to any meetings where people don't say, well, actually, I'm dealing with this through my mom or something like that. So it's so powerful and validating and inspiring to have chambers that want to look around and say, yes, we want a healthy business environment, but we also want to give back to our community. So we love being a partner.
I just want to say to that, I feel like just being a part of the chamber has really just elevated the conversations. People are talking more about it. So like when I walk in the room and I'm talking to someone who I just met and they're sharing their story with me, it's very impactful, and I encourage them to keep doing that, because that is where that's how we start to really bring more awareness to others that we need to talk about this, and there are resources out there and those kinds of things. It just trickles out. And so that's what I really love about the chamber, and just the support in that, because, we locally, like I said, there's just two of us, and so, we're working to meet other people in the community that we can connect with, not only for the business side of things, but also for the awareness, because we are in what we call an era of hope, and so as far as treatments and stuff go, so this is a wonderful time to learn about the organization and to learn about all the resources that both of us provide in that way.
And I'm sure when you're both out hearing stories like that and getting approached, it sort of validates the work you guys are doing.
And for us, I mean, we're a small business, and so we need to run lean and efficient and with best practices in terms of business practices as well. in order to achieve our goals. So the educational component of having a chamber is also important to us.
I love that. If anybody here is watching live on our YouTube at the Prosperity Lounge or on Facebook, feel free to put some questions in the chat here. That'd be great. You have a lot of people talking about their experiences right now with dealing with family members who have had Alzheimer's. Got my wife actually put in here that her great grandmother had the disease. Vance, my engineer, has dealt with his mom for quite a few years, taking care of her. And let's see, I'm scrolling here, guys. I'm scrolling. I missed a bunch of them. Everybody's talking about pizza in the chat. I'm getting hungry. Oh, the best pizza places here. Yep, Ryan and Jessica were talking about her mom's father had it, and they had 14 kids to take care of at home. So, oof, a lot of stuff here. So this is open for everybody. So if you want, Julie, if you want to chime in, you're gonna have to share the mic. I apologize. But how does collaboration help amplify awareness and support beyond what nonprofits could do on their own? We kind of touched on that a little bit, but.
Well, a chamber of commerce exists to create collaboration. I mean, that's what we are. Mm-hmm. We see ourselves as a nucleus of information, resources, and our job is to circle the wagons and bring all of those things together. I think our partnerships with our nonprofits, we are trying to shine a light on them because they need the support. They need the help, whether it's volunteers, whether it's fundraising, whether it's awareness. And we are fortunate at our chamber to have a really good platform. We've leveraged decades of relationships with media, with elected officials, with businesses, big and small. And so we know what we're capable of. And anytime we can lead from a servant's perspective and do the work that we need to do, but then also share the spotlight and shine it on our nonprofits, we think that's a good thing.
I mean, I'm so grateful to the chamber just because it really has elevated our mission and what we're trying to do here locally, and just those conversations. That's really the most important thing that I'm seeing, and one of the most, yeah.
Perfect. Janice, how about you?
Well, I would just say diseases like Alzheimer's, I mean, the scope of the disease is huge. And so when you look at all the components, and an individual can live with the disease for a decade or longer. So it's wonderful to see communities coming together, all the different sectors, private sector, nonprofit, healthcare, really rallying around those families and caregivers who are amazing and heroes every day through the journey. So I think no one can do it alone. No one should have to be able to do it alone, and that goes for how we approach our mission as well. So we love the collaboration with the chamber. We would also agree, just like you said, wasn't sure about Alzheimer's Tennessee. Every time someone hears something, they have another tool in their toolbox.
I love that. Back to Julie real quick here. You kind of touched on it a bit with the regional aspect of the chambers, but how do supporting nonprofits specifically strengthen small business in our region?
For us, it's really simple. The work that our nonprofits are doing is for the benefit of the greater community. It benefits the business owners, but it also benefits their employees. And at the end of the day, we want to have a healthy, well-balanced workforce, which benefits small businesses tenfold. So, for example, with Alzheimer's, you have employees that are dealing with a loved one that has a dementia diagnosis. Maybe they're taking shifts as a caregiver. I know I was in that role. My family was in that role. And if they're without resources, if they're burnt out, that leads to time missed from work. So tying it back to businesses, it's all very symbiotic. And,
Right.
Anytime we are pouring into a nonprofit, we are impacting some area of the community that is ultimately going to impact our workforce and therefore our small businesses.
We go back to those numbers I was talking about earlier, and you talked about the economic impact with the caregivers. I mean, I just pulled it back up here. $13 billion every year in Tennessee alone in potential cost of being a caregiver. I mean, it was 675 million hours of care valued at $13 billion a year. When you think of stuff like that, what message do you hope the community takes away from this year's gala about the power of coming together? And this is for anybody who wants to answer.
For us, we hope that the people that come to the gala see what is possible when people come together for a singular cause. There'll be connections made there. There'll be information shared there. There will be advocacy, for support of Alzheimer's research and treatments and cures. And there will be a financial contribution from the chamber that is in part going to come from the members.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be very proud, to hand over that check to both of you, but we can't take all the credit. And we say this all the time when we put this event on every year. It takes everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It takes sponsors. It takes attendees. It takes item donors. It takes volunteers just to make the event function.
Mm-hmm.
It takes vendors, many of whom donate to lower the cost so that that ultimate contribution can be greater. So it's a collaborative effort. It's not just us.
It's really that it takes a village.
It does. It does take a village.
I love that.
So for us, I think certainly we're appreciative of the impact that the monetary gift will have. But I am convinced that someone or multiple people at the gala will say, there's help out there for me, my family, someone I know, and there's hope. And I think if we can connect people and let them know there's resources and there's help and also that there's hope, then we've done a wonderful job with it.
Yeah, so often I've heard, especially when I first came on, I wish I'd known about Alzheimer's Association. I wish I'd known that there were, resources out there, because it was such a difficult time for them. And so this, for me, something like this will maybe just, elevate that, in that room with that many people. And so I'm just
From
really
an
thrilled
awareness
for
and marketing
Mhm.
standpoint, it's
Yeah.
like it's invaluable what's
Exactly.
been going on. Okay, I love that.
Yeah, and coming back to the personal side for me really quick, I'm always going to think about, my late father-in-law who got that diagnosis, with my mother-in-law, his wife, and felt, I don't know what kind of feelings that drove him to keep it from us and to not seek outside assistance and help, and how lonely that must have been.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll always wish there would have been an opportunity to point him toward one of these organizations just to get some kind of support over the years that he struggled with it.
It's inspiring. Appreciate you sharing. I think nowadays I think we touched on this earlier, the misconception of it being a death sentence right away, right? And now there's treatments that are not. So I think people feel that and they just are like, I don't know how to proceed. My life's over. But it's not the case by a long shot.
No, it's not. Not at all. I mean, and obviously every person is different, but there are ways, there's support and there's
Mhm.
ways to go about it. And we just want to make sure there's so many things that are modifiable that you can do for yourself to help slow down the progression of it. A lot of people don't know that, but like 40% of, that is modifiable through just, engaging with people, exercising, sleeping, eating the right, like more of a Mediterranean diet, those types of things that, really just that social contact too,
Mhm.
igniting, trying something new. It sparks, a part of your brain. And so just doing those things to kind of help slow down the progression. But there's so much life still to be, shared and had, and I mean, absolutely.
Absolutely. It's a muscle. You got to use it.
Yeah.
Same thing when you have heart issues. People exercise. If you're not exercising, I need to go exercise. So I got a couple questions that came in, and this question and answer is probably my favorite part of the show. But before I get there, I want to ask real quick to Julie, what can people expect at the auction? How can people still come to the auction if it's available? And what's the big draw this year? Why should people come?
Well, there's already 350 people who think it's a great idea to show up.
Oh,
so the
man.
room is getting full.
I got to get my tickets.
Yes, you do.
I know.
Committee members are always last.
I keep forgetting
always.
because I'm doing so much stuff that I get the tickets. Yeah.
So the auction this year, and of course I have to say, it is presented by Rocky Top HVAC.
Love them.
We're super, super excited to have their support. And I know they've got some personal connections to the cause, which I'll let them share at the auction. But it's a really fun night. Again, we've done this for over 35 years. So we know how to put on an auction.
It's a good time.
It is black tie optional. So
I love that. That's an option.
It's a yes. So it's a great opportunity to dress up and get
Sure.
some fantastic photos with yourself and your partner or your colleagues or your friends. We see tons of photos flooding social media after this event. There will be a silent auction with about 75 fantastic items
They are
from the
fantastic
businesses.
prizes.
Oh, they are so fun. They're starting to come into the office, and we're all getting really excited. There will be a live auction with up to 10 live items, and some of those packages are going to be
very lively.
absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
I will mention that the final item of the night will be lunch with Mayor Glenn Jacobs, which I believe you've had on
He was
the
a
show.
guest last week.
And
Absolutely.
so Mayor Glenn has the dubious distinction of also having been Kane, a world-renowned wrestler. So that'll be lunch with him and you and a guest, and we always sell that item last because we think it caps off the night in a really great way, and we donate 100% of that live item to the nonprofits. Other than that, 20% of items go to the nonprofits, and then 20% of net operating proceeds.
So even if you don't win an item,
Even if you don't win
you
an
are
item,
donating to the nonprofits.
you are,
by
yes.
coming
No
to the
matter
auction.
what, no matter what, you are donating. But we would
Perfect.
love for you to bid, because that's the fun part.
Bid them up.
Bid them up, and especially that item with the mayor. I always hold my heart in my throat to see what that item is going to go for.
I was surprised last year. It went pretty high.
It has gone pretty darn high before.
Now, I will say, I was lucky. We were lucky. We went to the Festival of Trees, Fantasy of Trees Gala down at the East Tennessee Children's Hospital, right, Ron? And there was a lunch with the mayor on that. And there were some technical issues on the online bidding option where the bid went pretty low, and we snagged that and won it. And I came to the auction last year, and I go, lunch with the mayor, I'm going to win that again because I know what the value is of the lunch with the mayor. And it was like triple what I paid. And I was like, I am lucky I got what I got. So-
It has gone for higher than even what it did last year. So it's different every year. It's very exciting. This is going to be the last one because our mayor will no longer be in office by the time auction comes around next year.
That's
so
true.
this is last chance. So I'm really excited to see what happens this year.
That's true because I don't know, next year,
Yeah.
neither one of them's a celebrity wrestler. So I don't know what's going to happen, whoever wins next time.
Yeah, it's not looking like we're getting another celebrity wrestler.
And the cool thing this year, I'm gonna mention it is, I am gonna be there, tucked away in a corner for some of the night, filming this year the event, talking to some of the sponsors, doing some little video packages so you guys can come over and say hi again to me, all dressed up. That'll be fun. And I do have a quick question about HVAC, Rocky Type HVAC. Is Gerald going to be singing?
No
Can we
confirmation.
convince him to sing for a prize, for a donation?
There is no confirmation on whether Gerald Allison will be singing, but I would not put it past him.
I'm putting it out there right now. I think that could be a really fun, potentially live item if people buy enough alcohol.
I will certainly
bid?
not, I will not be up there singing the jingle. So
Okay, I can just have him do that. So we're just about wrapping up here. If anyone listening tonight wants to get involved, whether as a business owner or volunteer or just a neighbor, what's one practical step they can take this month for the chamber or for your organizations, besides buy a ticket to the auction?
For the chamber, they can go to farragutchamber.com, go to our calendar of events, and tickets will stop selling on the 17th if they do not sell out beforehand.
Oh boy, I
so,
gotta get my tickets soon.
so I would say act fast.
Act fast.
For the association, our walk is at the zoo on the 20th.
Mm-hmm.
It's free to register. If you come on in, you'll be just enthralled with all kinds of resources and information about the association. Really, the walk is just an open door to everything that we do. So come on out to the zoo. Yeah.
And I would say for us, we're doing our Race Across the State for Silver Alert, which is a wonderful program for individuals who may wander. And so we'll be at the Walter Springs Walmart on September the 25th giving out free Silver Alert packets. So if you know of anyone that may have a tendency to wander, please come to the Walmart and see us.
I love that. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Thank you, everybody in the chat, for having a great conversation. Looking forward to this auction coming up. Again, everybody come say hi to me when we're there. What we've heard tonight is that prosperity isn't just about numbers or profits. It's about people. It's about using what we have to lift up others, whether it's the chambers helping businesses thrive and organizations like Alzheimer's Association, Alzheimer's Association of Tennessee chapter. I will get it right at some point. I apologize. Alzheimer's Association, Tennessee chapter, and Alzheimer's Tennessee. Whew, got it. Walking alongside families in their toughest seasons. Man, I will get it right for sure. Thank you to Julie, Sara, and Janice for joining me tonight. So as you think back on your role in the community, ask yourself, where can I step in? Where can I give back? And where can I help someone else find freedom? If you found value in tonight's conversation, subscribe to the Prosperity Lounge on YouTube or your favorite podcast app, Apple, iTunes, everywhere. Visit us at theprosperitylounge.com to join our free community and get all these cool resources like our guides and everything else. And don't forget to share this episode with a friend or business owner who needs encouragement. Until next time, stay faithful, stay fearless, and remember, freedom lives where faith and action meet. The lounge is always open, and so is your next breakthrough. This is the Prosperity Lounge.